the analyst inside. I heard this in a Mike Ferry video. You got to feed the analyst in your brain that always feels like you're not doing enough, because that's what's going to drive you up a wall. You know, you're sitting there and you're like, let me just go get lunch. And the analyst in your brain is like, but we haven't filed this. We didn't do this. We didn't even click the button. We didn't even. And it's like the days you really feel like, whoo, I got something done is when you satisfied the analyst. You're like, okay, I did X, Y, and Z. That put me 3 or 4 steps forward, closer to my goal of X, Y, and F, you know?
I get it. And for me, I use my hand.
Okay.
For me, it's like I got 5 fingers, right? I got 5 fingers.
I'm leaving.
And when I wake get your mind out the gutter. I got 5 fingers.
You are experiencing the Learned on Accident podcast. Listen, laugh, and learn on accident with Kolmus and Johanse.
Welcome back. It's your favorite guys. Learning on accident.
We got the intro dying. You trying to create an extra soundtrack. It's all good. It's all good. My name's Johanse. Rhymes with Beyonce, starts with a Y. Johanse. And my other hosts. Kolmus, introduce yourself, son, before I mess this up.
They call me Kakarot, also known as Kolmus, also known as Rome Knows for those of you joining from my social medias.
Oh, yeah. So today, let's talk about finding the motivation, man. Like, because every day you wake up, you do the grind, you figure out there's 1,000 tasks for you to do. How do you stay motivated, Kolmus? What are some of the tools you use?
Man, so first and foremost, sequencing and order of operations are the biggest thing. So, of course, there's a lot I want to get done, but then I have to think, all right, what has to get done first and then bleed into everything else. So I remember even just like with homework in school, a teacher told me like, yo, whenever you have a bunch of homework, you don't know where to start, just start with anything, whether it's the easiest thing to do or the hardest thing to do, just start somewhere. So that's one of the first things, is just getting started. 2, I have kind of an internal clock that'll just like the analyst inside. I heard this in a Mike Ferry video. You got to feed the analyst in your brain that always feels like you're not doing enough, because that's what's going to drive you up a wall. You know, you're sitting there and you're like, let me just go get lunch. And the analyst in your brain is like, but we haven't filed this. We didn't do this. We didn't even click the button. We didn't even. And it's like the days you really feel like, whoo, I got something done is when you satisfied the analyst. You're like, okay, I did X, Y, and Z. That put me 3 or 4 steps forward, closer to my goal of X, Y, and F, you know?
I get it. And for me, I use my hand.
Okay.
For me, it's like I got 5 fingers, right? I got 5 fingers.
I'm leaving.
And when I wake get your mind out the gutter. I got 5 fingers and I always use a task. Like I'm like, okay, I can handle having 5 major tasks for a day. And I'll put it in my mind, what are those 5 tasks? And if some of them require so many details, I'll write them out in notes, or I'll make sure that I know, like for the day, I need to learn these 5 things, get these 5 things done, whatever they may be. And most days, I'm gonna be real with you, I don't even accomplish all 5 of them. But if I get 3 or 4 of them done, that's a pretty productive day, because I set really high standards for myself. So I always walk around like if you ever like paid too much attention to me, you'd see me like looking like I'm counting my 5 fingers in front of me. Well, I'm counting what I've done for the day that I said I was going to do. And it's worked out very well. I mean, I've done that forever. I mean, no matter what the task may be, whether it was when I was in the Air Force flying planes, or when I was a boxer in college trying to figure out what I'm going to do next for my next fight, I'd have to focus on 5 things. And people try to put more on my plate, and I'd let them know, like, hey, no matter what you try to say, if it ain't on this hand right here, if it ain't one of these 5 tasks, it probably ain't gonna get done today. And you know, that gets small minor tasks still get done, but as far as major tasks, whoever gets a finger on my hand on one of the 5 tasks I'm gonna accomplish, that's where most of my focus, my energy goes.
And see, I like that. You know, I don't necessarily do that. I probably do a variation of it. I just literally go with the one that's going to let me exhale the most. There's certain stuff where I'm like consumed with a goal, and I'm just like, bro, if this doesn't get done, I'll literally start having anxiety. I'll have panic attacks. I'll literally feel like my life is over, this, that, and the third. And that's one of the reasons I appreciate content creation, because it kind of gives me an indirect way to alleviate the stress. Because when you're that overwhelmed, even if you have a plan of attack, you might doubt the plan of attack. So sometimes, you might just need to take a breather and get your energy right,
Understood. I got a question for you, man.
Come on.
External versus internal motivation. And I feel like I already know your answer, but like, which one do you use more of? And I want you to compare the two as far as how you use them.
External versus internal?
Motivation, yes.
So I think one of the things that bugs me, bro, is my internal motivation has a layer and an intensity that I just can't quite figure out yet. Like I'll say this. I used to feel bad about it, so I used to try and mask it because I didn't like the way I was self-conscious about the way it sounded. I was like, no, this doesn't sound all grandiose, or I don't sound like Goku, It sounds like some Vegeta stuff, But
yeah,
at a certain point in college, I was just like, you know what? F it, bro. My motivation is literally to be the best, the richest, fly boy, flashy, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, Don't get me wrong. I want to help people do all of that, but I literally need to be balling out of control to where the amount I'm giving out of, philanthropy or just out of help doesn't affect me. Like, I need to be able to say, all right, I just gave my immediate family, like my mom, my dad, my stepmom, a salary, and that didn't hurt me. You feel me?
That's dope.
Like, that's my thing. But at the same time, I also need to be on some like, yo, if I just want to go to Hawaii, I'm not packing a bag. I'm going and I'm coming back when I come back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If I were to answer the same question, I think I'd say something radically different than most people, in the sense that, and I don't mean this is to I'm not trying to be different. I just am different in this, where I don't need external motivation, like, at all. I internal motivation on 100. Like, that's what I thought you were gonna, the same way you were gonna approach it. Like, I am my own biggest cheerleader. I've got the motivation, and if I don't have it, it's not that I need somebody else to tell me, like, wake up and do this and make your bed. It's like, I'm already doing all those things. I need to smack myself around and tell myself to do it. And I'm really good at it. I mean, I've been my best coach for what, 28 years now. So my internal motivation's on just a whole nother level. But my external motivation, when I turn on motivation, because I do indulge in a bunch of that, because that's a lot of what I'm trying to give others, because I'm trying to give them some of the same internal motivation. I'm trying to give it to them, as external motivation. Like, hey, let me help you. Let me let that voice in my head that's cheering and coaching me on. Let me let that same voice, that same energy and spirit coach you. And I'm saying, hey, how do other people do this? And I'll sit there and I'll watch other people do it, motivational speakers and everything, who work in the same industry as me. And I don't think that I get the same feeling as a lot of others. And it's okay that I don't get it, but I want to be able to continue to give my internal motivation to others who seek external motivation.
And see, with that, I'm going to come left. Another thing is, like, outside of, just that desire to help, is just like, I had to come to grips with, just as a man, you have a natural desire for power. You know what I'm saying? And I used to feel guilty about it, because I'm like, bro, I literally just, because exactly like you said, the internal motivation, I don't need nobody telling me, hey, let's be great today. The motivational, none of that stuff. Like, it's dead to me. That'll unmotivate me, because it's getting on my nerves. I'm past that. Like, I've tried to be average or just like lower my goals, and literally have like felt sick to my stomach, dark cloud, dang near went, you know what I'm saying? Just like had a panic attack. And I'm like, I don't know how to envision an average life, Like, I don't know what that is that makes me sick to my stomach. So, like, especially just how we came up, I'm like, nah, I need the complete opposite of this to make up for the time I spent.
Yeah, you're hungry. You're hungry. I get it.
And that's the thing, you know, I tell people, you know, at a basic level, yeah, it's just, I'm just hungry, bro. Like I can show you better than I can tell you, but I don't have some long-winded college entry exam. It's like, nah, bro, like I'm doing this because I want to do this, like, period. External motivation, like, shoot, same reason as internal, bro. It's a fire going on. Like, it's just like when Vegeta first went Super Saiyan. He went literally to the ends of space trying to figure out how to do this thing. And then he finally just said, F it, man. I'm you know, he released. So that's kind of how I feel about the situation, man. You know, I have just a very big burning desire. Like whenever I'm, you know, like when I'm in nature by the beach and stuff, I reconnect. And that's kind of how I find myself. Anytime I'm by the water, I'm just like, yeah, bro, I gotta turn it up one time, you know? Like I have to.
I'm going to tell you something that I did a couple weeks ago, and I want to know like if you've had this experience or if you would even do something like this. But a couple weeks ago, you know, I woke up and first thing I do when I wake up, I check my email, and I'm looking at my email. Okay, mail. But what's that? I get super excited. I'm like, there's no way. Like, let me hurry up and respond to this because they were telling me like, hey, your book, it won an award. And mind you, yes, I think my book is good, but you know, you enter your book into a lot of these competitions thinking like, hey, is my book one of the best books of the year? Is my book one of the best audiobooks of the year? Yada, yada. And you enter competition after competition after competition thinking, yes, if one of these competitions I win, then the prize money from that big international competition will have paid for the entry fee into all the rest of these competitions. And so I did that. And the first competition came by, lost, didn't win it. Second competition came by, I was like, I'm going to get it. Lost. And you know what? I said, I'm not going to win any competitions for my book, thinking my book is one of the best books of the year or it's so great. But I still had my hopes up in a sense, but I was trying to be more realistic. My ego had definitely been pushed down to reality. But then I got that email that day, and I'm looking at the email saying like, "Hey, you are one of the finalists for this." And I start trying to remember like, this is one of the biggest competitions. Like, I was thinking like, how much money is this to come by, and not even just that, like the press and all this. And I was so happy and so elated. And I internalized that because that was some external motivation. I took that and I ran with it for a day or so. And then another, 2-3 days later, I got another email saying, hey, now you got the #1 audiobook and this is the date for this award. And I needed some external motivation because like I said, I don't always need it, but I needed some to get me past that hump of like, is my book half as good as I think it is? But when I got both of those at the same time, I had to turn around to one of my mentors and I said, hey, sir, I need you to do me a favor. And my mentor's like, what's going on? I said, well, I need you to tell me that I ain't shit because right now I've got too much good stuff going on. I've been winning. And if you don't deflate my head right now, I'm going to walk outside thinking I could walk on water. Like when it's not the truth. And I need to humble myself. So one of the reasons why I say I prefer internal versus external motivation is because my ego is so easy to just overinflate. And I have to recognize and to check myself on that. And I'm glad that I have mentors who, if I give them that message saying, here's what's going on in my life, and I need you to take away some of that external motivation, tell me I ain't shit. So my question to you and to the audience as well, have you ever had to ego check yourself and have somebody tell you like, hey, you're still the same dude that grew up on the block right next to me? So have you ever had to ego check yourself because of too much external motivation, Kolmus?
100%. And there's a balance with that. You don't want to rely on the ego check to where you start second guessing yourself. You just need it to add some context when you feel like your feet are hovering off the ground, you know, head in the clouds, but feet on the ground at all times. That's why I keep, like Johan say, and certain people in my circle, because I don't care for people's opinion, but from my trusted sources, I'm like, no, that's real game. Or, you know, on the rare occasion, if somebody's just speaking truth, even if I don't know you, I have to honor the fact that you just dropped some real game, you know. For example, my skits, a lot of the reason I didn't do it was because I was afraid of what people were thinking, this and that, you know. ego checking myself to the point where it was just toxic. Then I got to a point where I was like, bro, I'm gonna just put it out, and there's clearly people rocking with it, and let me go with that. I will only ask for stuff like, you know, if I'm doing a shirt design or if I'm doing a move and I kind of feel an internal struggle, you know, I might ask for an ego check, but I'm at a point now where it's like, you know,
You got the fruits of the labor now. You're like, hold on,
I'm just
this is
to
real,
myself that
son.
I'm not thinking far-fetched anymore, you know? And like, I trust the people in my circle to pull my coat if I'm, you know, reaching too far or doing something crazy. So that's the cool thing is like when you set that kind of system up, it allows you to kind of go without worrying about it because you're like, bro, I got safety measures and gear checkers in here in case I start hitting the red. So yeah, my external motivation, sometimes it'll come from something, whether a person, you know, or a situation, but for the most part, you got to get to a certain point to where, you know, okay, you're confident in what you're putting out or what you're doing is the way to do it, and how you feel about it is justified. You know, it's like, I got to go into certain sessions making content like, yo, I'm hilarious. This is going to be funny. Like, I know something's good when I'm laughing while I'm filming. Like, there's some of them I'm like, yo, I know this is going to hit because like I spent an extra 5 minutes just like really cracking up, you know?
I get that. Like, because when I was writing my book, and I don't mean to put it, but same thing when I'm creating my art and I'm sitting here crying, writing my book, or I'm sitting here laughing, writing my book. I'm like, wow, the emotion is real, and I hope my readers can get it. And apparently they're feeling it.
Right.
So yeah, you got to feel it while you're creating, and it makes it real.
And just to add a little more context to that, you're not always gonna feel it too. I'm one of those people that like, you know, the work got to get done. I'll put, because there's been times where I'm like, nah, I gotta finish, and it's worked out for me. Like a lot of the time, some of the stuff I hate the most ends up doing the best, and I'm just like, what? So
really? See, I feel that way even about the podcast we're doing right now.
Right.
It's like I'll let you know, like, hey, Kolmus, I feel like I wasn't funny at all. I wasn't entertaining. Why are these people listening to your boy? And you're like, hey, stop all that imposter syndrome. This is about us talking entrepreneur to entrepreneur. We was gonna have these conversations anyway, Dad.
Right.
All we doing is putting it on the tubes now. So I've tried to come more into my element, be more relaxed, deliver what I'm already gonna be doing, and it's a process that sometimes you need that external motivation, sometimes you need that internal motivation. But however you need it, you better get your fix.
100%.
But yeah, that's all we got for this episode. I wonder, do you have any questions, any extra questions you want to ask the audience?
Shoot. Are y'all following us on social media, man?
Okay, find that in the comments. Are y'all following us on social media or not? Put a yes, put a no, and you go ahead and then lean into it and say why or why not. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and go ahead and share, all that good stuff. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, peace. That was a damn good episode, son. That was a damn good episode.
I'm spitting from real life, like bro, like the conversation we would have had is exactly what happened on camera.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So you can't be missing these conversations we could have.